it becomes to be something that on the other side there is no one accountable, it is again quite dangerous for us. But these are more tactical concerns. The strategic concern is the rise of the Muslim Brothers.
Though the peace between Israel and Egypt has been a cold one, largely rejected by the Egyptian public, it has served the interests of both Mubarak and Israel. Curbing the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt and curbing Hamas in Gaza is an Egyptian-Israeli vested interest.
Fighting radical Islam, Hamas, security of Egypt, it's also connected to us, you see? So we have more or less, from the point of view of security, we have the same interest, Egypt and Israel.
Of lesser concern is cross-border infiltration. Around 130,000 African refugees have already illegally trickled into Israel from Egypt. This number would likely soar if the border wasn't properly manned. With such security fears sounding alarm bells, it is easy to understand why Israel sees its security directly linked to that of Egypt. Behind the few official words of support for Mubarak, the general feeling here is that his regime is inevitably coming to an end. The main concern now is for whoever replaces Mubarak to leave the peace treaty with Israel as is. Nisreen Al-Shamaili, Al Jazeera, West Jerusalem.
Well, in the past 24 hours, it appears that the events unfolding in Egypt have made other Arab governments sit up and take notice. On Tuesday, King Abdullah of Jordan replaced his prime minister, but that didn't stop the protests against his government. Opposition groups staged this demonstration in the capital Amman on Wednesday, and they called for the new prime minister, who's a former army general, to be sacked as well. The opposition says it wants a genuine political reform that allows freer elections. And the president of Yemen has said that he will not seek another term in office. Ali Abdullah Saleh, like Mubarak, has been in charge for almost 3 decades. And speaking to the parliament, he also denied reports that he was planning to hand over power to his son. This comes after protests calling on him to step down. But Saleh says that he will finish his current term, and that term ends in 2013. And we can take a look at where things stand at the moment in Egypt after a day of high drama in the country. Wednesday has seen clashes near Cairo's Tahrir Square, or Liberation Square as it's known, between what appear to have been pro and anti-government protesters. The two sides have pelted each other with stones and petrol bombs well into the night. Egyptian health authorities say that 3 people are dead, more than 1,500 people are injured as well. Late on Wednesday, the country's newly appointed vice president, Omar Suleiman, he said that there will be no political dialogue. That's unless the anti-government protests end. Let's get the latest update with one of our correspondents who's just off of Cairo's Liberation Square on the situation right now. What are you seeing?
Yeah, pretty worrying development from where I'm standing. I'm actually on a balcony that's overlooking a road, one of the roads that are parallel to Liberation Square or Tahrir Square. And what's happened just in the last 15 minutes is that dozens of Mubarak supporters have erected some kind of cordon or a barricade, if you like. They've done that using a huge billboard that they've managed to get up and hold with bits of wood. And now they've dragged one of those police lorries that we saw being set on fire last Friday, also very, very big vehicles. So they've used those to create a barricade. Meanwhile, they've collected a lot of stones, hundreds of them, and they've put them right there in the center. They're clearly getting ready for some kind of confrontation. They've also been, just in the last 5 minutes or so, destroying the street lights, making sure that the whole area around us right now is pitch black. And I've been seeing some of these supporters putting on balaclavas, covering their heads. So clearly something is going to happen right in front of us here, as I said, just off Tahrir Square.
Yeah, it does sound like something is just about to take place any minute now. Okay, so while the pro-Mubarak supporters are erecting these barricades that you're talking about, what's the other side doing? What are the pro-democracy protesters doing?
Well, I can only tell you from what I'm hearing other people say and our other correspondents, and indeed what I can hear. And it does sound like the pro-democracy demonstrators are still inside Tahrir Square. And from what I could understand, that it seemed that the Mubarak supporters were surrounding them. And certainly from my vantage point, I could tell that there's no way that any of the pro-democracy demonstrators could have left Tahrir Square via the route that I'm overlooking. It simply wouldn't have been possible. People have been running up and down with sticks, with batons. Anyone who looked vaguely as if they were one of those demonstrators were getting beaten. So certainly this one exit out of Tahrir Square, there are many exits, but this one exit was completely cordoned off. So the idea, and this is simply a guess on my behalf, but the idea is that if the Mubarak supporters were to retreat from the circumference of Tahrir Square, the pro-democracy demonstrators would feel secure enough to start leaving, perhaps even trying to get home. And at that point, perhaps they will have basically lured them into a trap over here, as I can see, because they've also cordoned off the other side of the road. So once they get to this junction right in front of me, as their backs are to Tahrir Square, they will only have one place to go, that is straight forward. And that's also barricaded, as I can see, just peering out from the balcony. So in fact, they will have totally entrapped them. There doesn't seem to be any other exit to get out of this particular square.
It just sounds like the people that are barricading, putting up the barricades, like you're telling us, these pro-Mubarak supporters, as we're calling them, it just sounds like this is something that's highly organized. Do we have any idea who's behind this and who's organizing this?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. You're totally right. It is very organized. They're even asking us here on the